And welcome back to the OHIO podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Buckeye Boggs. That man over there is the wild man, Chris Wilds. And this is is Quinn Ewers going to come back to Ohio State? And do we even want him to? Edition of the OHIO podcast. Do us a big favor, hit the thumbs up button, smash that like button if you don't mind. Please, if you would, comment on this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm when you comment on the video as well. So we want to get lots of interaction. We are the official Ohio State podcast of Scarlet and Game. Head on over to scarletgame.com where you can check out our audio. If you do not like the way our faces look, we don't blame you, neither do our ex-wives. You can listen to the podcast wherever you download the OHIO podcast. Wherever you download your podcast, just check us out there. If you do give us a 5-star review, we absolutely appreciate that as well. We are the official Ohio State podcast of the College Huddle, where there's us and 75 other of our closest friends from coast to coast covering all teams, including Texas. So make sure you go over to thecollegehuddle.com and check that out. Chris!
First of all, I got to fix something, Eric. Man, I can't have you throwing shade at my ex. My ex was awesome. Her and her new boyfriend both. They're both awesome people.
Yeah, but she still doesn't like the way your face looks.
Well, nobody likes the way my face. I don't like the way my face looks.
Wasn't a false comment.
Okay.
All right. So Quinn Ewers. Yes, let's talk about Quinn. I don't think he played terrible in the game, in the Cotton Bowl game, Chris. A lot of Texas fans are throwing a ton of shade, speaking of throwing shade, at Quinn Ewers for his performance against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Quinn's numbers, by the way, in that game, and we'll pull those up here real fast for us. I thought they were decent. He was 23 of 39, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the pick at the very end to finish the game out. But 2 touchdown passes up until that point. He did have the big fumble. Again, not sure that was all his fault. Negative 18 yards rushing because he really couldn't run the football. Obviously, it's not his forte. And that would be one Arch Manning. But it just seems like, Chris, the Texas fans they're kind of over him. They're kind of done with him. I'm going to read you some comments that I got from their social media pages that were they just jumped out at me. These were some of the first ones. Now, it was a big, long comment section, and I didn't read through all of them, but I read through about the first 20, 25, and these were several that I pulled out. So here they are. Again, these are from Texas fans about Quinn Ewers. Tommy says, I like Quinn, but I'm glad his era is over. He is good. He's a good QB, but not the guy to hoist the trophy. A guy, not the guy. Best of luck to him wherever he goes. W. Gregg says, time to move on from the human statue and start the Arch Manning era. Great season, just disappointing. Tom says, Sark should be fired because of his love for Ewers.
I feel like I've heard that one before, Eric.
Yeah, and then Jaden Tucker says, bye-bye, you did nothing. Bring on Manning next year. My heart goes out to everybody else on defense that earned to be in that game. So they seem to get progressively more hostile as I was reading through them towards Quinn Ewers. Now, Quinn is, I think, statistically the 3rd greatest quarterback in Texas Longhorn history. If you just kind of look at the statistics overall, I think he's second, or he's either first or second in passing yards. But you got to take into account rushing yards and just accomplishments on a whole. And I would say Texas fans, Gerald from the Longhorn Republic said he's probably 3rd.
Probably behind Colt McCoy and Vince Young.
You got it. Yeah, Vince Young's definitely number 1. Let's just be honest with that. You add
rushing. He got the chip.
Yeah, you got championship, and when you add rushing yards to it, total yards, and he only played 3 years. He was done after his junior year.
Right.
And then, Colt McCoy was just longevity. I think, and he was good. Colt McCoy was pretty good. He was in the NFL for a long time.
I think he's still floating around, Eric.
Is he really?
Yeah, he was at least last year. I believe he was still floating around. I don't know if he still is this year.
He's got to be in his mid
He
30s.
had floated around as a back. Of course, he played in Cleveland for a while. I think he was with the Commanders. I think he was with Arizona. Yeah, he floated around.
I mean, he's one of those guys who his longevity in the NFL hey man, you've been a quarterback so long that you're a great backup, right? Like it's
Yeah,
just kind of
exactly.
one of those things. But yeah, he let's see. His rookie year in the NFL was 2010.
Yeah, so that's what 15 years.
14, 15 years. Good for him. Jiminy Christmas. That's quite the career, man. Anyways, so getting back to Quinn here. Quinn's got a decision to make.
Yes.
Do I transfer? And there are suitors out there for him. Absolutely. I'll tell you where I think he might end up here in a minute. And or the NFL. Now, I did some digging today, and if you're a Texas fan, you probably already know this. No big deal. But for those who don't follow the Longhorns very closely, they probably have no idea. He's in a very serious relationship with a very pretty young lady who attends the University of Oklahoma.
Ooh, that'd be a shot fired right there, Eric.
Wouldn't that be something? Um, I don't think that's going to happen, but those things tend to weigh in a young person's decision on where they go.
Sure it does.
You know, so where's he at in his life, and what's the next stage look like, and what will her part play in that decision? Obviously, you need to take those things into account. That being said, with that rumor of floating out that a school was going to offer him $4 million in the transfer portal, we found out that school was Michigan State.
I don't like the fit there.
No. Well, what's that say to their young quarterback?
Right, right. Now the team, their in-state rival, might be one with. I mean, I know you got the $10 million man coming in, but if you don't think he's the guy day one, that would be a good patch over for you.
He
Good
wouldn't
1 year
do that.
rental.
He's calling him the school up north. He still has a little bit of Buckeye in him.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe does he still have Buckeye in him, or is that a play to try to get back in the good
No, I think he
graces?
still does. I mean, look at his admiration to Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, him and Jack are still tight, I believe, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
Oh,
mean, he honestly, that was the other thing. Some Texas fans are really bothered by like the fact that he's not like, I hate Ohio State and I hate those guys.
yeah, I think it was a business move when him going back to Texas. I don't think it was anything personal.
It
I
was a
think it was a
business
business
move why
move.
he graduated early and came to Ohio State.
Exactly.
It's all business, which is why he ends up in the NFL.
Most likely.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna put a percentage on it, I give it 80% he's in the NFL. I'll give you 20% that he gets a grade back that says you need another year of development, and if he needs one more year of development, where do you think the best place for if you Chris
If it's
were
me,
if you were
honestly,
advising him where he should go to get one more year of development, give me your top school and maybe your second or third place school.
well, I'll tell you, my top two would be Ohio State would be one, but USC. Look at how many Heisman Trophy winners that
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley's pumped out. Um,
They've moved on to their next quarterback though.
but if you get a guy like that, do you think that maybe you don't at least got to consider it? Now Miami's got their guy, so Miami's not really an option. Maybe Alabama with Milroe leaving for the NFL. He's already declared.
Let me throw another school out you didn't
Notre
mention
Dame.
that I think would be interesting.
Notre
No,
Dame.
no, they're ready to start developing their own. North Carolina.
Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to make you more pro ready than Bill Belichick.
Interesting thought, huh? Um, So let's look at the Ohio State fans on this, right? So I threw the poll question out there. Would you welcome Quinn Ewers back for one season next year if he wanted to transfer back to Ohio State? We got 289 people who voted in that poll question in less than 24 hours on Twitter. That's the one we'll take. Here's the results. 32.9% say yes. 67.1% say no. And there were quite a few comments with this thing. This was our most commented poll we've ever had on Twitter.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, Eric, I'm not quite as jaded as the 67%. This is what I would say, though. I would temper it with I would have to find some way to make it an incentive-laden NIL, a minimum NIL with maybe some incentives. I would not be paying $2, $3, $4 million for the guy. But if he wanted to come back to Ohio State and compete, not be given, but compete for the starting position, I'm not 100% objectionable to it. I don't know that, I don't think, honestly, it's a good fit for him, although he'd have great receivers. Um, we still don't know what we're
Why
going to have.
wouldn't it be a good fit?
We still don't know what we're going to have on that offensive line. And one of those Texas comments made a good point. He's kind of like a statue back there. Um, Will Howard, a lot of his success has come because he can extend plays, move the pocket, and obviously has the most freakish athlete ever to throw to. But I think he could learn a lot from Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, but I'm unsure of our offensive line situation for next year. I mean, I've got an idea where it's going to be at,
So
but
are you saying this? Are you stating this as you're advising him, or are you stating this as an Ohio State fan perspective?
a little bit of both.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now let me throw this out at you. I'm not saying this is my belief. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. What if I told you Quinn would give you bring you more than likely a win over Texas to start the season at home
Right?
and a win on the road in Ann Arbor against Michigan?
Take him.
Okay. Next year, this is just again, this is me just kind of foreshadowing and speculating. We are going to be at a major disadvantage in that first game against Texas.
Absolutely. We're going to have a quarterback in there with very, very little experience.
Or none. What if Taven St. Clair wins the job?
And you know what? If you look at the two right now, you got to think that even though Julian may be the more mentally ready and be more up to the speed of the game at this level, there's no doubt in my mind Tavion's the more
He's
physically
got
ready.
no experience, man.
Yeah,
None. He played so little this year. Again.
yeah.
So, I mean,
But
all
Tavion's
those
definitely the more
reps
physical.
Devin Brown had should have went to Julian.
Absolutely. I even remember we went to Keenholz in a game, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah. That and
Why?
again, why wasn't that air Nolan in that situation? Okay. So if you bring in if you bring in Quinn Ewers, do you think you are at risk of running off Julian Sayin, and that's one of the reasons why you wouldn't?
You have to take it into consideration, but at the same time, you maybe have a talk with them and say, listen, young man, we want you to succeed. You are not physically prepared to play this game yet at this level. Because I truly believe that his biggest um, weakness right now is physically. I think that he can
Hmm.
process it. I think he's got a great mind for the game, even though we've only seen him in limited action. In the spring, he looked very good at times. Um, he's an unproven commodity, though, and say, listen,
Yeah.
We're going to bring this guy in 1 year. He's one and done. He's going to be your mentor. He's going to mentor you. He's going to mentor Tavion. Next year, one of the two you guys taking the lead, and that's going to be up to you guys.
So if Quinn Ewers was one game away from going to the national championship with Texas's roster, and you're telling me he can have two wide receivers better than any he had on his current roster,
At least two.
at least two, maybe more, to throw to, plus a really good tight end coming in next year from Purdue, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That is going to light it up in this offense, Chip Kelly's
Which is
offense.
going to change everything. It changes everything having
It
that kind of
does.
tight end.
It really does. If you're telling me that with an inexperienced running back room, mind you, very inexperienced running back room, and the unproven, I would say, unproven offensive line, I think they're going to be really talented. I think
Well, yeah, I mean, you got a
it's
couple of good transfer portal guys that's going to help that out a lot.
yeah, it's going to be a work in progress and building chemistry, especially in the offseason. But and he's can it's a 1 year rental again, kind of like similar to Will Howard, and he can get you back to this point that we were just at in the Cotton Bowl. Sign me up. I'm all for it.
And I'll tell you what, don't think Ryan Day's not thinking about that, because
Maybe.
here's a guy who has, in the last 3 games, changed the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
This was a guy who, believe it or not, I still say, and you've still got people saying, if he doesn't win it all, he's got to go. And I'm probably still in that group, at least with 1 foot. But in the last 3 games, he has changed a narrative on his career at Ohio State. So he's got to think to himself, if I get this guy for 1 year and we can run it back again, the naysayers are gone. The big contract comes out, and he's probably locked into a 10-year deal if he wants it.
Yeah. Let me throw this scenario at you as well. I've been thinking about this a lot today, actually. What if they believe Tavian St. Clair's actually has a higher ceiling, more upside than Julian Sayin does?
Well, then you take him right now. You get Q Ewers right now, and you have him mentor Tavian for that first year. Tavion slides to number 2 and carries the clipboard.
This is a huge decision for Ryan Day and his coaching staff.
It's a career-making decision right
now. Now, this is all based off Quinn. Let's say Quinn decides to go to the NFL. It's a moot point. What are we even doing? We're not going to be going to the portal for another quarter.
Correct.
Like the whole Georgia quarterback thing. No, thank you.
Well, he committed to Miami, didn't he?
Not yet that I'm aware of.
I thought he did. I could be wrong.
I think that was where he was leaning to at the time. Let me look it up real fast because I don't want to be wrong. But I didn't. People were like,
Carson Beck is not the answer here.
Yeah, we want. Yeah, he did. He did commit to Miami.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I must have missed that somewhere. Yeah. So when you said Miami's already got their guy, I got you now. Yeah, I didn't want Carson Beck when people were like, "Oh, Carson Beck's going to come to Columbus." No, thank you. Quinn, I would. Now, there's a couple reasons why I would believe Quinn is the better choice here. One, he's been to Columbus, Ohio already. He spent a whole semester in Columbus.
He's got a little knowledge of that playbook. Eric.
He has knowledge of that playbook already. Now, not with the wrinkles that Chip Kelly brought, but
he's going to have an idea of what it's based in.
The passing attack, yes, and some of the verbiage and things of that nature. So he'll be able to hit the ground running much quicker. Okay. So that's one thing. Number 2, he knows some of these players.
Yes.
Right? Number 3, I think he'll have a giant chip on his shoulder. You get Texas on your roster schedule, and they practically are pushing you out.
Yeah.
You get them. Number 1, he wants to get back to he's going to be highly motivated to get back to the playoffs, highly motivated to beat Michigan again. He did it. Hey, guys, I did it. I beat them in their house already.
And man, we're going to go do it again. Goes through the roof if he has a decent year and does that.
And that's the thing. If he's not getting a high grade, it might be financially better for him to say, "Hey, I'll take $2 million to play this year on the idea that I can make a whole lot more being a
Well,
first
yeah,
round
and you
draft
think
pick.
about it, Eric. He's right now. If I had to, if and I'm no NFL scout, make no mistake about that. Given the talent you've got in the top two guys, or the supposed talent you've got in the top two guys, in Ward and Sanders, who will be the two, probably the only two I think drafted in the first round, quarterback wise. Um, Ewers to me could very well slide as to a third rounder. And if he's going to be a third rounder, then by God, I would come back for that. You get Ohio State say, "We'll give you $2 or $2.5 million to come in for 1 year and take us to the
Yeah.
playoffs again."
If I'm an NFL scout right now, I'm watching that game and I'm trying to put myself in the mind of a scout, which is a dangerous thing to do because a lot of them are idiots, in my opinion.
They really are.
I'm watching that game, and I'm not so sure some of them don't think Will Howard's the better pick right now.
Right now,
I don't believe that's the case.
Quinn Ewers
I
does
love
not.
Will,
I do
but
too. Will Howard is, I would argue, next to maybe Craig Krenzel, one of the greatest leaders at quarterback that Ohio State has seen.
if you're gonna say leaders, you're gonna have to go with JT Barrett.
Maybe.
And I know that you know how that pains me
Yeah.
to say that.
But you know what? You're not wrong. He's a good leader
Hmm.
when he was on the field.
Yeah, in the locker room. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I agree. I agree 100% with you.
But Will Howard's right up there.
Yeah, definitely. But
So,
he's not Quinn Ewers. He doesn't have Quinn Ewers' arm.
no. Quinn Ewers is by far the more talented of the two.
So, understanding that, don't you think that Quinn should have somebody in his ear saying to him, "Look, if Will's going to go before you in the draft, go to where Will follow Will's blueprint."
Yeah.
Will had 1 year left. He got pushed out of Manhattan, Kansas, practically.
Yeah.
They all loved him, but thanks, but time to move on. That's kind of the same thing we're getting here from people from Austin. Thanks, but time to move on.
Yeah.
Go to Columbus, Ohio, get developed, raise your draft stock, go to the NFL, and win a bunch of rings on your way.
And even looking back, you talked about that game. If you watch Quinn Ewers passing, man, he made some pretty passes.
Yeah, he's good.
He made some very pretty passes. We can't take that away from the guy. And you look at the talent. He just ran into the buzzsaw that was Jack Sawyer in this defense.
His old roommate
But you look at that.
ran
I
into
really
him.
feel like next year, with the types of weapons that Ohio State would have, yeah, and the fact that we're going to have a unproven running back room, you could see Quinn Ewers go out there and throw for 5,000 yards next season.
I know.
He could literally have a C.J. Stroud type of year, numbers wise.
Yes. Yes. Dwayne Haskins type of year.
Dwayne Haskins type of year, yes.
I know. It's not crazy talk, guys. I'm serious. It's not. Now again, this is all for naught, and this is just no, I won't say
It's
worthless
for fun.
conversation, but it could all be. I mean, we could get literally by the time this drops this afternoon, we could find out that he's declared for the NFL draft, and it's. But if he doesn't, and he does hit the portal, and he wants to do one more year, don't be surprised if Columbus, Ohio, is a possibility for a landing spot for Quinn Ewers. Let us know what you think in the comment section below, guys. We would love to get your take on it. Absolutely. This is gonna be a very interesting conversation. Hey, don't forget, 2 hours from now, we're gonna be live, 8 o'clock Eastern, for our Sunday evening roundtable. Buckeye Talk Monday night, or Buckeye Therapy Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on this channel with Dr. Corey. Don't miss that. Also, we have a call-in show Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, as we prep for the national championship against the Irish, guys. Thank you so much for everybody for watching the video. Again, hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. That costs you nothing as well. And leave your comment down in the comment section below, guys. Till next time, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Carmen, Ohio, with all your heart. You know what to do, Chris. OH.
I hope.
Go Bucks.